I'm not going to talk about specific stocks, but if you look at those top five, and you look at who the top five were 10 years ago, it's a whole different list.
Right.
I mean, 10 years ago, you had the energy companies, you had some China, you had GE of all things. The reality is these companies in general have a lot of momentum. I think technology in particular in the Valley has never been as on fire, probably more so in terms of the number of different areas. I mean, it used to be, I came out of the semiconductor industry, and there's a software and Sybase and application. Now it's a whole bunch. You can talk about autonomous vehicles, software-defined vehicles. I actually like to talk about because I actually love my Tesla. But you have mobility, you have AI, you have machine learning, IoT. There's just so many things going on at one time. Never been like this before.
Okay, but my question though is, you often hear now that the big tech guys are too big, and that when it comes to either innovation, maybe there's innovation happening, but it'll ultimately get swooped up by those guys that are already in positions of power, not new companies. And the reason I ask is you said smartly, a decade ago we were talking about 10 different companies.
About GE.
At the top. Exactly. Does that roll over 10 years from now? Will we be talking about the same companies, or will we be talking about different companies?
My own opinion is you'd be talking about some of the same as well as different. I think there's a number of very large companies that are primed to go public, actually probably more in 19 than 18. And we're just talking about actually outside the room. What's occurred now, like everyone's wondering why we haven't had an IPO market. Well, you know, why haven't we had an IPO market? The difference today versus 6 months ago, the IPOs coming out are doing well. The valuations for the first time in a long while are higher than their private valuations. So both the investors and the company and management can see the way when they go public now, the stocks are going above their private. So they don't have to give more shares, they don't have clawbacks, they don't have all these other things that are detriments to going public now. But the fact that stocks are doing well in the public market, I'm on the board of Zora. You know, it's gone public, it's done very, it went out at 14, I think the stock yesterday was 28. Just an example of stocks doing well when they go public.
How big a threat is data privacy to the business models of some of the Goliaths?
Yeah, I know there's been many people on this show come on and they like to take stabs at some of the companies. I think it's an important element. I think actually, I'll take it the other way. I think it's an important element, I read this article, for the users as well. You know, in other words, when you think about what you put on social media and how it might come back to, quote unquote, bite you later on when you're looking for a job. So I think it's both. Sometimes the users have to take responsibility for what they do, and the companies have to make it easier to make sure the users can do that. So yes, I think privacy will be, it's like a lot of things. It will be worked on, people will figure it out, the companies will figure it out, and the users will figure it out over time. So yes, it's an issue, but not insurmountable, in my opinion.